Hey guys, welcome back. This is Tony. I wanted to show you what kind of effects you can get with a small set of pencils. So as you can see, this is a pretty dynamic image. This picture was colored with a 24 set of Prismacolor Scholars. If you look at places like Harry's jacket, if someone asked you what color that jacket was, you would say red, I hope. But if you look closely at that jacket, you'll see it's shaded with a lot of blue. And in the highlights, I also used a lot of yellow. His face isn't really like the normal peach tones you might pull out of your pack. And down here at his feet, that's a pavement walkway, but I have not used any colors that you would normally pull out to color pavement. If you look at the leaves, I've shaded a lot of that with blue, and there's also some orange and red. I'm going to show you another image. The reason I'm using this book is because this is the book that I had when I had my Prismacolor Scholars, so my 24 set. So if you were to look at Dobby here, you would see in his skin that there's a lot of pink, like at the end of his nose and on his elbows and on his feet, and there's also a lot of blue in the shadows. If you look at his pillowcase outfit, it's a white pillowcase outfit, but it's shaded with purple and gray. And there's a little bit of yellow in some of the highlighted areas as well. I finished this picture of Hermione more recently. And if you look at her sweater and skirt, yes, they're gray, but I've shaded them again with purple. You can see the purple a lot in her socks. If you look at the cauldron and compare that with her outfit is more of a cool gray, and the cauldron is more of a warm gray. That was achieved by putting orange into the cauldron. You can see a lot of orange there if you look closely. And the fact that her gray is shaded with purple. I did not use purple to shade the cauldron. I used black and some warmer colors. So I pulled out 24 colors from my regular Prismacolor set. I don't have the Prismacolor Scholars anymore. But I pulled out the same 24 that are in the 24 pack if you were to buy that pack of Prismacolors. Okay, so when you look at this, I feel like there's actually a good selection of colors here. We've got a regular red and then like a brownish red, so we can use that as a dark red. Then you've also got you've got a good selection of yellows and oranges to work with. We've got three kind of purples. We've got a warmer purple and a cooler purple and a little bit of a lighter purple. So I like having warms and cools of the different colors. So like here, we've got true blue and light cerulean blue. This is a warmer blue. This is a cooler blue. Then we have our dark blue, which I use these two to shade a lot. And then your apple green and your true green. This is a much cooler green and warmer green. And then you've got some darker greens. Again, this one is cooler and this one is warmer. And then we have three different browns, warmers and coolers, and then black and white. So this is a good array of colors. I was looking at doing this with polychromos, and there were just too many reds. I think if you're gonna get a 24 pack and you're gonna stick with a 24 pack for a while, I would go Prismacolor just because of the color choices. So there is our swatch. And now we're gonna color a page, and I'm just gonna show you how I would go about doing this. Now Prismacolors are very saturated, and I'm gonna color seashell, and I probably don't want it to be this peach. So I'm gonna go with a really light layer. And that's another thing about coloring with a 24 pack or a small pack of pencils is you want to use super light layers because you want to be able to layer them. So I'm just gonna go really lightly on this shell right here. Oh, it's a little dark, that's okay. And now typically what I do is I use the same color that's my base color, right? This is kind of the overall color that I want this seashell to look like. So I'm going to take the same color and I'm just going to start mapping out where I might put some shadows. So I do use the same color to shade. And you won't be able to do that if you've already pushed pretty hard with your pencil. I'm still going pretty lightly. I don't want to burnish the paper at all. Prismas don't layer as well as polychromos. So in that respect, maybe polychromos is the way to go if you know you use lots and lots of layers or you're heavy-handed. The polychromos might be more forgiving for layering. The more light-handed you are, the more layers you can manage. Okay, and then that's just too small to get really precise, so here we go. So I'm imagining my light coming from this direction because generally that's just how I always do it. For fun, I'm going to put some yellow in the places where I didn't map my shadows. So kind of in the highlights, I'm just going to add some yellow. And then let's see, I just make decisions as I go. I'm looking at my swatches. I'm going to use sienna brown now because that's kind of a warm brown but not too dark. Super lightly because I want it to blend with the peach, which is pretty light. And I'm just going back over that spot. I'm not using any pressure at all over where I was mapping those shadows. So I'm just increasing the contrast. And you get less precise as you get into these tiny little spots. So the light's coming here, so I'm shading these shapes, these little like teardrop things individually. But then I also need to look at it as a whole. Generally, when I look at it as a whole, that's when I use the unconventional color. So I'm gonna take blue now, and I'm gonna shade with blue, and I'm just kind of gonna go over this whole area here on this side, because this side is going to be darker than this side since the light's coming this direction. So I'm just putting this side of the seashell to some shadow. Just bring that down this way a little bit. That's not seeing the light down there at the bottom. And then this will just get, I'll let this get pretty blue here. Okay, and then you can take that blue and put a little bit in those spots if you want. Now you can see, I'm gonna grab this real quick. So let me pull out the colors I was using. Peach, yellow, blue, and I used the brown. If I were to just sketch, what does that shell look like? I'm just gonna kind of, okay, so if we were to sketch this, I lightly colored. I did not push really hard to create those shadows, okay? I just pushed just really light pressure. If you look here between this blue and this pink, value-wise, one side isn't darker than the other. So it's not like I have a seashell where I have a dark half and a light half. You could do that if you wanted to, but I just want to point out this blue is not darker. They're not really, one's not much lighter than the other. They're both kind of medium, but just by using opposites on the color wheel, that gives the illusion that this is in shadow. I could put a little more contrast in if I wanted. In fact, I could go even, maybe I'll use this brown a little bit more here and darken it up there. To blend my colors, I'm going to take the white and I'm just going to go over the highlighted areas and blend those together. I tend to not use blender pencils. I tend to either blend with white or one of the lighter colors that I was using. In this case, all the colors are pretty light, so that's why I choose to blend it with white. Let's do a starfish. I'm going to start with the peach again. Overall, I want it to be kind of peach, but I also want it to be kind of orange. So it's just that this orange, if you look at it, it's very bright. I don't want that color starfish. So I'm kind of gonna mix the peach and the orange. So I went down with the peach first. And very lightly, because it's so bright, I'm just gonna very lightly put some orange on top. I'm thinking I'm gonna wanna ruddy it up a bit, so I'll probably wanna also throw some pink and red. And I'm only gonna be able to add that many colors because I'm using such light layers. No pressure that I'm using right now. If you have a set that you're using like Crayolas or more budget pencil, you might have an even harder time getting layers to work for you. If you have a budget set of pencils, I recommend getting a larger set with more colors. But honestly, for me, if it's a choice between a budget set of pencils with more colors or a more expensive set of pencils with fewer colors, I'm gonna go the more expensive route because they're gonna be a better quality pencil. I'm gonna be able to layer them. I won't need all the colors that come in a big set. They're just sometimes nice to have. But with more expensive sets, a lot of time you can get pencils open stock, which means you can buy pencils individually. So you can start with a nice set of small pencils, and then if you like them, you can add to them. So I think it's more worth it to spend the same amount of money on a smaller set of pencils that are better quality. Okay, so I'm just kind of putting some red in different places, kind of where the shadows would be, but I also just want the sea star, the starfish, not to be just a solid color. I'd kind of like it to look a little mottled, so I'm just adding some extra colors here. Okay, I'm gonna shade this one with purple. I'm gonna go light purple because this is a very light image. I don't need to shade with the dark purples. Actually being a bit more liberal with the purple. Now, if I've added yellow to the highlight here, then I want to add yellow to the highlight here as well and on almost everything to make the light look consistent. I'm going to go ahead and add yellow in those highlights. This yellow in this set is bright, so I'm going to want to blend with the white again. Throw some pink, just for fun. And I don't think he's orange enough, so it's too yellow. I guess I'll go back with the orange. So I'm not burnishing yet, but I am kind of blending a bit with the orange. Just kind of going over everything with an orange layer again. And right now I'm feeling that the highlights have gotten too dark. That's not a problem. I'm just gonna grab my eraser. Let's use this peach color here. Okay, I'm going to take my white or yellow real quick. It's just a lot of trial and error and layering. I'm using the white all over to blend. Okay, so that's a bit of a burnish. I am going to go in with some blue though. Okay, that's fine. Let's do this flower. Let's make this flower light pink. I'm actually going to preserve the white in some places on this, so I'm just going to draw in very lightly like that. Just kind of mapping out my shadows again. And now I'm going to go into the shadows again with blue. Okay, and then I might just go over the blue again with the pink, just toning it down a bit. And that I think is enough for that one, so I'm going to go ahead and blend. Let's do the little leaves so we can do something green. Let's do the apple green. Just coloring what would be the darkest parts. Go ahead and go in with a little bit of a darker green. This is the grass green. I find that if I don't shade with either an opposite or blue or purple, it just looks a little bright and artificial in general. This green that we just colored is much darker than any other shadows we've created, so I'm actually going to go ahead and grab darker purple. This is the violet blue. Just in there a little bit. And then I think at the ends of the leaves, where I didn't map the shadows, I'll actually go in with yellow on that. And then I just want to add more of the apple green. So it's a lot of back and forth. Let's do yellow in the middle, very lightly. Shade that with the brown. And then a blue. Okay. And also, because I went over the white, I kind of lightened a lot of those lines there. So I'm just gonna I actually find that coloring a lighter picture like this is much more difficult than coloring a darker picture like I was in the Harry Potter ones. I'll show you another one in here. So if you look at Harry, this rest of the picture I did with the large Prismacolor set, but Harry was colored with the Scholars because I started this before I got the large set of Premiers. But if you look at Harry's face here, it's primarily just yellow and purple. It's not really skin color. I think there's probably, I went over the top with just a little bit of peach to throw a hint in, but really I started with the yellow and then shaded with the purple and then did a little bit of peach on top in some places. But I actually think using a smaller set, it's easier if you're doing a more dynamic, contrasty image. Whereas this is very pastel and light, and I find this to be more difficult. Let's see. Let's do... I don't really like the green there. I'm going to keep working on the green. No, I don't like it. It's just too fake green. Oh, there we go. That helped. Let's see if we can put a little, just for fun, let's see what happens. Put a little red in. Oh yeah, see, opposite. Okay, let's do Mr. Hermit Crab. Oops, that's his eyeball. Just kidding. And a little eraser. Erase his eyeball. Sorry, dude. And do a shell again, peach. Let's do goldenrod on his shell. I don't think you can really mess up with what colors you choose to layer. Right? Anything will look good, it's just going to create a different effect. So this shell we colored with peach on both of these, but I shaded this one with sienna brown and some darker, heavier handed peach. This one I'm going in with the goldenrod. So it's going to come out a little differently. Really, you can blend any color. It won't look bad. It just, unless you practice a lot, it might not be the color you're envisioning. This is the peach again. I'm actually going to throw a little peach into Mr. Krabby. This is a little more pressure that I'm using. I've never colored in this book before. I like this paper. Go. Okay. Pink. I'm just deciding these colors as I go. I'm avoiding the shell because I don't really know what I want to do there yet. A little bit of red, really lightly. This is the peach again. I just want to blend that a bit. There. Let's make this a little darker over here. And we'll do the yellow and the highlights. And then some blue or purple? Let's do purple to light purple. I think I am going to go in with blue after this. This is the Parma Violet. I haven't been saying the accurate names. Pink again. And white. Whoop. And we'll grab some darker purple to go down here in this, where this shadow will be the darkest. Up that leg a little bit. And then underneath here. Maybe a little bit right there. Okay. Okay, now his shell. I'm going with the blue like we did on the other one. Yellow. Maybe a little, how about dark brown? That's a cooler brown. Just really lightly. And then just blend it out again. Okay, and then just underneath his little shell there, need some shadow. And we can shade eyes because eyes are three-dimensional, so they need some shadow as something like that. So here's kind of a closer up view of what we've got going on. I just realized that we need to shade the bottom of his shell a little bit there. I want to darken this sea star. His lines got, see now I've burnished, and so it's very difficult to add the color on top. I'm still just using a light layer. You can still get some color onto it. It's just difficult. I don't feel it has enough contrast like these other ones do. So I just want to darken it a little bit if I can. And then we'll do the fun part, which is to add highlights. So there you go. Those are some ideas for ways you can shade and create dimension when you've got only a small pack of colors. The name of the game is layering, definitely, and using a really light hand. It helps to look at reference images as you're starting out so that you can see where colors are cooler and where colors are warmer, because that's going to affect what you want to use in your lights and your shadows. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Otherwise, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing.